I would love to record a video for you without glasses on. But unfortunately, I've got notes I have to read and I can't read them without glasses. Because this topic is too important to skip. Because we're going to talk about foreplay. That's right. Foreplay. You know what foreplay is, right? It's the action or the behavior that precedes an event. Now, the same components that make for successful sexual foreplay, that would be intention, attention, playfulness, imagination, emotion, and commitment, are exactly the same components that you need for any major project or important successful activity. It's foreplay. In fact, if we were to put together a group of men and women, and we chose men and women because they were very successful at sexual foreplay, I think we could be pretty sure that they'd be the ones that'd score, forgive the pun, okay, don't forgive the pun, that they'd score high in pretty much any area of life. I mean, whether you talk to a contractor, a chef, a doctor, a surgeon, I guess that would be a doctor, or a dancer, I don't care. You're going to get the same answers. How it turns out depends largely, hugely, on the prep work and the planning that you've done. And it allows you to give greater context to the bigger picture. I mean, I know, for instance, for this, I did a lot of preparation. For example, let's take the chef, okay? The chef and foreplay, I mean, come on. No chef is going to produce an amazing dinner at a restaurant unless he's got somebody there pre-chopping the lettuce and baking all of the rolls and making the sauces. And there's prep work to do. In fact, it's even called prep work. Prep work. All right, so let's see. Why would you do prep work? And what is this stuff we're talking about anyway? I want to share with you something. Let me find it here. Okay. So let's take some real life adventures, okay? I mean, foreplay is exciting and it's stimulating and it's arousing and it's just plain fun. But I would like to suggest that foreplay, no matter what you're foreplaying, can be just as fun and exciting and can have just as huge of an impact on what you're about to do. Huge, 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 huge. I know for me, what leads to a successful manifestation of my passions is thoughtful, committed, passion-filled foreplay. Oh, I'm definitely a fan of foreplay. Okay, relax. Resume your normal breathing. This is not exactly a sexual blog. I mean, getting ready is foreplay, regardless of what it is that you're getting ready for. It's what we do. We embrace the anticipation. We build trust. We build connection. We create a foundation. It gets us ready to jump into action. And it's a terrific way to find the sweet spot in your business or your dinner or your family fun time or in your relationships, in your life. Now, for example, let's say I'm going to have a manicure, and Lord knows I could use one right now. Let's say I'm going to have a manicure. What's the foreplay that takes place when you step into that situation? Well, you're greeted, usually by name. You're maybe offered some water, a place to sit and wait. And then when it's your turn, there's some small talk that happens. And that small talk, whether it's with a potential date or a new friend or someone you've never met before, that small talk is foreplay to the big conversation, isn't it? So, okay, then it's getting ready by maybe setting the ground rules for what's going to happen. In the case of the manicure, it would be my manicurist saying to me, now, no telephone calls while I'm giving you a manicure. You need to keep your fingers steady and not be distracted. And my part of the foreplay might be to say, I'm going to need a pillow behind me or a pillow under me because I'm little. All of those things are preparation to make sure that what you're about to do is even more successful. So, after a manicure, maybe you're going to the doctor's office. What's the foreplay at the doctor's office? Well, hopefully you're greeted by a receptionist. Part of the foreplay is sometimes having you fill out forms so they have a better idea of who you are and what you need from them. Part of the foreplay on your part might have been finding out about who this doctor is and what you could expect. Maybe they offer you a cup of coffee and a cookie while you're waiting. They let you know that they care about you one way or another. That's part of the foreplay. The whole idea is that foreplay makes you more relaxed because you have a little bit more of an idea of what you're up against and what you can expect. Getting in the mood, as it were, and getting others in the mood. It's vital, isn't it? To creating that all-important feeling of connection and, forgive me, lubricating the path to getting down to business. You know what I mean, right? All right. So when I want to super infuse any new project with excitement and, of course, a much greater likelihood of success, then I exercise discipline and restraint. And instead of just jumping in without knowing where I'm going and what I'm doing, I like to create a plan. Prepare. Foreplay requires discipline, and discipline is so worth it. All right. Abraham Lincoln is quoted, possibly, as saying, if I were going to chop down a tree in 6 hours, I would spend the first 4 sharpening my axe. Let's take a look at what that means in life. That means if you know what you're up against, be prepared and make sure you're using the right tools and that the tools are in good shape. No matter what you're doing, they're almost always tools. And there's almost always work to do to take care of those tools. That's part of the preparation, part of the foreplay, if you would. Prior preparation prevents poor performance. Whew, takes me back. I can remember in the 9th grade, in speech class, before we would get up to talk, that's what the teacher would say to us. Prior preparation prevents poor performance. And he would say to us over and over, what are the 5 P's? What are the 5 P's? Well, that's what they are. And if you can remember that, you're going to have a life that is so much easier. Because you'll have what you need when you get to where you're going to do what you got to do. You'll be prepared. I like to, for instance, I wear hearing aids. I carry extra batteries with me because you never know when a hearing aid battery is going to go out. By the same token, I have a little box that I can take them out and put them in if I don't want to wear them anymore. That's being prepared. Do you remember, what's the Boy Scouts pledge? Be prepared, right? Or there was always Tom Lear's song, be prepared, that's the Boy Scouts marching song, be prepared, as through life you march along, be prepared to hold your liquor pretty well, don't write dirty words on walls if you can't spell. Okay, the song gets a little rowdier, I'm going to leave it right there, but it's Tom Lear in case you want to look it up and listen on your own. Alright, so why be prepared? Why the foreplay? What does it do for you? Well, first of all, it helps you determine if something is really worth doing. All right, let's get sexual here for a minute. If the foreplay sucks, you should forgive the pun again. But if the foreplay doesn't work, chances are nothing's going to work in that area. And the same is true of any other kind of preparation. Getting ready, amassing what you're going to need and kind of walking through the steps could give you a really good idea of what you're about to do is worth doing at all. You wasted a lot of time working on the wrong projects. Be really nice to know in advance if you're working on the right project. Preparation also helps you figure out, the best way to get the job done. Because it gives you an opportunity to try different things out and to kind of brainstorm and come up with some new ideas. Pay special attention to ideas that are radically different than anything you would have even thought about doing before. And the other way of saying that is think outside the box. Think of all the possible ways that you could do something. And then kind of take a look at what might work about this and what might work about that and what would be the point. Preparation also makes sure that when the time comes, you're ready. So when opportunity knocks, ba-bam, bam, you're right there with a plan. You know what you're going to do. No, I'm not telling you to over-prepare, okay? Because that kind of takes you out of the picture. Just adequate preparation makes all the difference. All the difference. And failing to prepare is planning to fail. Let me tell you that again. Failing to prepare is preparing to fail. Any kind of commitment, relationship, work, home, any kind of commitment requires a declaration and a plan of action. Here's what I'm going to do, and here's how I'm going to do it. Now, does that mean you can't change it as you go along? No, it doesn't mean that, but it does mean that you have a path. And if that path gets blocked, there is nothing that says you can't go off in another direction. Or as I like to say, you can get where you're going a lot faster if you know where you're going and you have a map to get there. Now, you could possibly get there without a map, but you're not going to get very far without knowing where you're headed to begin with. And then it's really important that you give yourself credit for the plan. Like, pat yourself on the back and say, hey, good job. You made a plan, you followed a plan. You made a plan. You can change the plan, amend the plan, but you're prepared. And you already have a plan A and a plan B in your mind. Or as my daddy used to say, expect the best, but plan for the worst. And some of you say, always, always, always have a plan B. This is plan A, just in case This is plan B. Set yourself up for success. Having foreplay in your life helps you to embrace the anticipation of what's coming next. And you'll be able to enjoy the journey as much as you enjoy the destination. Both can be really awesome, am I right? Foreplay teaches you to be loving, caring, nurturing to yourself and to others. It makes you and anyone else who's involved in the process feel connected, super significant. Builds trust. It's goal-oriented without being specific on the outcome. It's goal-oriented. It's going to make me happy, but not necessarily saying it will make me happy by blah, 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 blah. Don't be so attached to the outcome. Be attached to the goal, but don't make it real specific. It doesn't have to be. Intellectual foreplay leads to better conversations. It opens up more possibilities for you and your partner or partners. And it gets people excited and interested in your projects. But that would be oral foreplay, verbal foreplay. You get the idea. Fabulous, effective foreplay is the first step in creating an action plan. And planning is vital foreplay. So, there's so much more to talk about with foreplay, but the most important part to remember is sexual foreplay and foreplay in life are very similar. And neither one is about getting lucky, no matter what they say. Gently guiding your partner, physically or in conversation, towards topics where you have expertise gives you authority and confidence. That foreplay really matters, right? Seneca was, I believe, the original person who created this quote, but Oprah Winfrey took it one step further, and that is, I believe luck is preparation meeting opportunity. If you hadn't been prepared when the opportunity came along, you wouldn't have gotten lucky. Foreplay is your best route to getting lucky. You want to get lucky? Get good at foreplay. Flirting is foreplay. Flirting is fun. And flirting is just getting your feet wet. It's kind of checking to see what's going on out there. And it works in every area of your life. In every single relationship you could possibly have. I'll talk to you another time about some other parts of foreplay. But keep in mind that when you're in the midst of foreplay, in preparation to engage, and now I'm talking about in a conversation or in a new relationship or in an old relationship that you're working on, treat the other person in a way that matters to them. Establish the trust. In sales, people buy from those they know, like, and trust. In relationships, we become connected to and stick with people we know, like, and trust. And if you want your relationship, whatever kind of relationship it is, to go to that next level, it's all about the foreplay. That's what's required. And if you don't know what kind of foreplay is required, there's a great way to find out. Ask. Ask people what they need and what they want. And tell people what you need and what you want. A receptionist might tell you a little bit about the lawyer you're about to meet. The waiter or waitress might describe to you the meal you're about to get. You could watch a trailer of a movie to find out what you're in for there. A doctor would probably describe to you what's going to happen in each step of surgery and or recovery. A seminar leader or a teacher may give you a schedule for what the day or the week is going to look like. All of that is foreplay. It's all preparation. It's all getting you ready. It's tough to have a really heart-to-heart conversation with someone without first breaking the ice and having a little foreplay, a little conversational foreplay. It's important from at least two standpoints, one of which, of course, is purely physiological, because it stimulates the process that produces arousal. On the other hand, foreplay engenders a higher level of confidence and trust between two people, or three, or four. It lowers the inhibition level, and it creates a sense of intimacy. We human beings were not designed with on-off switches. We have to build up energy to comfortably change the state that we're in. So, where do we use foreplay without even really thinking about it? Let me give you a couple examples. You going on a trip? You probably have steps that you follow before you leave town. You probably pack a suitcase. You probably create an itinerary. That's all foreplay. That's getting ready for the journey. That's not the destination. How about death? How about a burial? There are a lot of steps to take, a lot of foreplay, if you would, before that body is lowered into the ground and there's a final goodbye. The same is true for the first day of school. Now, we're not in times where we would have a normal, what we would call a normal day of school, but the foreplay includes my favorite things. Going out to buy a new pencil box and new clothes and pens, maybe in today's world, a new computer, I don't know. But it's all those things that you know to do to get ready. And if you're really doing a good job on the foreplay, you're finding out what you can expect so that you can get ready to handle that. How about a party? A lot of foreplay before a party, right? I mean, everything from figuring out the menu to inviting people. That's not the party. That's the foreplay to the party. How about painting your house or planting a garden? You got to prepare the earth? That's foreplay, folks. That's preparation. And where, unfortunately, do we usually, or at least sometimes, skip the foreplay? Skip the preparation phase. And think about what that costs. Frequently, we jump right in to a relationship without setting the groundwork. Sometimes just because we can bake a great cookie, we jump into the cookie business without knowing what to expect in the business world. Sometimes in a conversation, we don't get to know our audience first, and we say things that we regret or get us into trouble. Sometimes we repeat something before we've done some fact checking. That's all foreplay. It's all very important. Okay, this one's especially for some of you out there. I was going to say it's for the guys, but I wouldn't do a thing like that. How often do you set out to go somewhere new without looking up first where you're going? or how to get there. And then get frustrated because you got lost. You didn't do your foreplay. Now let's get to the really important personal things. Do you have a will? It's kind of foreplay. Do you have an earthquake kit? Do you have an emergency plan? Are you prepared for whatever life might bring? What if Noah started building the ark after it rained? Expect the best, plan for the worst, because that's going to leave you nothing to worry about except that you've had some awesome foreplay. And my wish for you is a lifetime of fabulous foreplay. Mwah!